coming at you one more time. Invincible. This is issues 53 through 100. Guys, I know you're not watching this. Hopefully, you're finding some of the information useful. I've enjoyed reading it. I'm going to keep doing it just because it's causing me to read the entire series from issue 1 all the way through issue 100 right now. And I plan on finishing the next 44 issues and doing one more video. First appearances are a little bit further between, but there's some big, huge key story arcs that need to be addressed, and some of that's going to be covered in these next few slides. So let's jump in. Let's look at CBSI's Invincible's first appearance keys list. This is issues 53 through 100. So let's go ahead. Let's look at this. What are going to be some key issues to sort of jump at? So when we left off, I left you off with issue 52, 53 area, because that's when he got the new costume. Kid Omni-Man had just killed someone, and the Mauler brothers, and they haven't reappeared yet. So he actually did kill him, and that had all happened. And Invincible has a new costume and all that stuff. So let's sort of pick up where he left off here. So next issue that you sort of bring up is issue 57. 57, the reason I bring it up is because it also has a crossover with Astounding Wolfman number 11. So it's a two-part story, so you have to read both issues. And guys, these books here with the crossovers are actually sort of hard to track down, because you had people that liked Astounding Wolfman that was grabbing the Invincible issue, and people that liked Invincible trying to grab the Astounding Wolfman. And that's one thing I've seen, and Topher's done a good job of pointing out anytime there's crossover issues. So these are a little bit harder to track down. And if you read his True First articles that have been out for the past month, there's some great stuff in there. But this is one where it's a crossover with Invincible. Next issue I want to bring up, this is issue 58. Angstrom Levy, who Invincible thought he killed, is not dead. You find that out. And he's actually been going and pulling Invincibles from several different dimensions, and he's recruiting them to help him in his battle against Invincible. So here's just one of the pages of all the different Invincibles from all the different worlds and universes. And they jump in, and the next issue, not next issue, then you have this issue, sort of a filler issue, where you get introduced to a character named Powerplex. And what I do love about Invincible is now addressing, and he sort of always has the bloodiness of it, but now he's addressing the consequences of the fighting. A lot of times you don't get that quite as much in Marvel and DC's world. Invincible's struggling now because this Powerplex is a good bad guy at first, where he is so angry and wants Invincible to be held accountable for his fight that he had with his dad, Omni-Man, at the very beginning. So Powerplex he becomes a villain / good guy. He's one of those, he wants to defeat Invincible because he wants the world to know Invincible's not this good guy. His sister died in a building that Omni-Man and Invincible fought through. She was just a casualty of the battle. One of the things you'll see numbers of people that died during these battles. So this is Powerplex. He's sort of a cool superhero, or bad guy, however you want to go. Every time he takes a hit, he gains more power. So the only way to defeat him is to not hit him. So it makes it interesting. Then the very next little issue here that's important is issue 60. This is a crossover, even more so than the earlier issue 48 crossover. This has like the entire world, and this is I sort of give you a shot of the gatefold wraparound cover where you can see all the different Image Comics created. This time you actually get Spawn, and you get Savage Dragon, who you had before, but you get Witchblade, and you get all the different ones. And basically what happens is all those Invincibles that Angstrom Levy were bringing in, they all have to fight all across the world. They're fighting all these bad guys, or these superheroes. So it's sort of a cool episode. But also what you get in this issue is Rexplode takes his own life, sacrifices himself, and dies in this issue. There is a second print to issue 60 as well, and that's up there in the left-hand corner, the white cover of all the different Invincibles attacking. It's a wraparound cover as well. 61 is one that is climbing. It's a lot, and the spoilers in this one's climbing. Conquest is a great bad guy, but it's climbing because Key Collector highlights it. It's just when you get into the later issues, there's 15 to 20,000 issues. A little bit more common to find them. But this is a bad guy named Conquest. He's a Viltrumite who's sent to take over the conquering of Earth, and he's also sent sort of to kill and destroy Invincible. So you get introduced to him in this issue, and then the next 2 or 3 issues is the fight. And like issue 62, it's just all they do is fight the entire time. So this is sort of a fun issue, and it's sort of the lead up to everything, because in this issue, Invincible's doing the process of the cleanup after all the Invincible War and Angstrom Levy and all that stuff. Invincible struggling with the consequences of letting someone live. The struggles you saw Spider-Man suffer, Batman suffered. Invincible's having those same things, but what are the decisions? Does he choose to let someone live or die? To separate himself from the bad guys. Next issue we have here, 63 or 64 and 63. I'm putting them sort of together because this is the Conquest battle. They're coming through, and what you're ending up seeing is, first off, Conquest kills Adam Eve, or looks like he kills her, and then she transforms, almost like a phoenix transforming, and her powers, and she revives herself, but revives herself even better. She's sexier and all those different things. And she does one final, in the process of this revitalization, she like skins alive Conquest. And then Invincible just beats the living hell out of what's left of Conquest. But both of his hands and arms are broken, so he just beats him with his head. And that's what you're seeing in the background of that image there of the bloody Invincible, as he just headbutts and headbutts and headbutts and headbutts him. Just beats him to a pulp. Next issue we have up here is issue 66. So every once in a while they leave Invincible and they go to his father, and they go to Alan the alien. You get this world. I love how deep and rich the world that Kirkman has created becomes. And this is where you get to meet Alan the alien's girlfriend. Omni-Man and him finally show up back where Alan, the planet Talia, however you say the name of the planet. And there's his girlfriend right there. And she's so mad. This is the first time you meet her, and she's chewing him out for not coming in and saying hello when he came in late that night. And then you also get introduced. Omni-Man and Alan's role is they go out and they're trying to find these weapons that will help in the battle with the Viltrumites. And some of the stories that Omni-Man wrote in Storybook are actually true, and you get introduced to Space Racer here, who has a magical gun that only he can fire, but that can also hurt and kill the Viltrumites. So sort of a nice little issue hidden there that I don't think a lot, unless you're a diehard Invincible fan, you haven't picked up on. Next issue that's highlighting Key Collector is this issue 68. This is Dinosaurus. It's a bad guy. It's one of those villains that thinks that he has to do things to save the world, and the only way to do the things to save the world is to make the Thanos decision of how many people to kill to make sure that the world can survive and that type of stuff. But he's a human who transforms into this dinosaur, and the only reason he figures out later on, how does he transform? Well, he's bored. He's indifferent to something going on. He transforms into this dinosaur who's a super smart, not just a I'm Hulk dinosaur, like he's super smart, genius dinosaur. And then Adam Eve at the very end of the last panel, she has a pregnancy test and she sees that she's pregnant. Then there's just random issues sort of thrown in there. That was issue 68. Then issue 69, you have two completely different stories happening. You have this new character shows up called Universa, and she's coming to suck the power. She reminds me of from Spawn. Angela is what she reminds me of. This super villain. She's come to her planet needs so much power, so she comes to suck the power out of the world. Invincible fights her, and he eventually defeats her with the help of Adam Eve. They defeat her, and that's sort of what you get here in this issue 69. While that's going on, the Russ Livingston, the alien infested character, has been building his army, and he's attacking the New York City, or the main city. And then, so that's going on. Then issue 70, Invincible finally kills Russ Livingston. He's thought he killed Angstrom Levy. Levy didn't die. He killed hundreds of thousands of people. And then he believes he's killed Conquest. But then Russ Livingston is back, and the only way to separate the alien sequids from their mind control hive is to separate the brain from their host body or whatever. So he slices Russ Livingston's head off. He kills someone, and everyone can't believe it. And he, for the most part, Invincible's okay with it. So there's that panel that happens in. This is actually Invincible Returns. It's between issue 70 and 71, before the Viltrumites war and prelude and all that stuff starts, you get Invincible return. It sort of goes back and tells a little bit of Invincible's story to prepare you for this big, huge event that Invincible is about to face. And so this issue had several variants, but it does have the first appearance of Grand Regent Thrag, who is the king ruler of the Viltrumites, and this is the first time you see him is in this issue here. So I'm throwing it in here because sequentially, this is where this issue falls. And then, but this book came with lots of different variants. So you have first, of course, on the left is the issue, just the regular cover A. Then I think it's a 1 for 25, then a 1 for 50, and then a 1 for 100, and then you get the second print. So I've picked up this book, and this book is starting to sell pretty well. It does have a first appearance. I'm sure the Viltrumite War we will get to in Invincible, and General Thrag will be an important character to have. And then, of course, issue 75, we get to issue 75. The war's in full effect. They're deciding how to attack them. This is all happening in space. The way that one of the ways they decide to attack the Viltrumites, they go to the Viltrumite homeworld, and Invincible and his dad and Thaddeus, the betrayer, the Viltrumite who's the betrayer, all burn through the Viltrumite's world and destroy the entire world. And that's sort of the big hoo-ha of this issue. But also what makes this issue important is it's a 1 for 50 sort of maybe store variant. It's not quite sure what it is. But basically this issue 1 homage cover is hard to find, is what it amounts to. Because not a lot of stores were ordering 50 issues of Invincible. Incentives weren't a big thing when this was out, so these are hard to find. These are expensive books to track these down. So just keep that in mind. But then you get the Invincible 75 does have a wraparound cover as well. Next issue we have here is issue 79. This is where you get to meet Duplicate and Immortal got married. They went off and they retired, and they Adam, Eve, and Invincible go and visit. Find out that Duplicate, they have kids. Pride and Joy are their names. And then you also find out because Invincible has been away at this war for months, and you come to find out that Eve had decided to have an abortion in this issue. So that's sort of the trauma and the drama. Invincible never knew that she was pregnant. This is issue 93. The issues through the 80s, not a whole lot. It was just some different random stuff. You find out stories about Bulletproof, you find out different things. But in this issue, you find out what happened to Monster Girl and Rex/Robot. When they jumped through the Flaxen portal and spent time in the Flaxen world, you start finding out different things through the few issues before that. And then he comes and they end up meeting. They don't find out in this issue, but this is when he first appears, that Monster Girl had an affair. It's one of those, I don't know. They have a son, a Flaxen son, and Flaxens live. Their months are like their decades are like months to us, and things like that. So it's a very interesting dynamic that is created here. But this character, he's the big baddie for the next 2 or 3 issues. When the Flaxens attack again, the Flaxens attacked early on in the teens. No, I tell you, it wasn't teens. I think it was issue 3. You have a Flaxen. It's in the animated show, and this is sort of a spin on that. This is issue 97. You get a little bit more about who Bulletproof is. You've picked up on pieces of who he is, but you find out a little more of his backstory. And by the end of the issue, him and his girlfriend have killed Bulletproof's parents. It's a very dark issue, and it even has a stop after that story, and they treat it like a Zach Morris Saved by the Bell moment, where it's like Invincible is talking at a Comic-Con with his favorite writer of Science Dog and talking about how dark the issue is at that point, referring to a Science Dog issue, but it feels like so. And throughout Invincible, they've had these allusions to comics and how comics are written, and how it's very informative and very interesting. I like how it's done. And then finally have issue 100. This is anytime comics make it to 100 issues, it's a big deal. Invincible has there's 6 covers right here that you see. These are just A, B, C, D, E, F covers. They initially didn't have a whole lot of value. They sat in dollar bins. Some of them were harder to find than others. You have the cover A right there. Then you have one by Silvestri. You have one by Alderud. You have these different covers. They're great. I like some of them. Some of them, I mean, even right as the show came out, you could still find them at Midtown for $2 and $3. And I picked up a couple right as the show was coming out, just because I wanted to complete the set. But there are some that are a little harder to find. Here's the second print of issue 100, the blue writing. This Invincible cover, there's a chromium version of it. You saw that before. This is the chromium version of it. This is just the Brian Hitch cover. I like this one a lot. It's nothing special. This is one I have not seen or I have not picked up yet. Then Comixology had a 500 print run, and then you have a 1 for 100 of the chromium of the. So it's the of significance that happens in this issue. You do get Dinosaurus, who basically has caused this flooding. He's decided to solve the world's problems, flooding and all this stuff. And Dinosaurus realizes the error of his ways, and he ends up asking Invincible has to kill him. You don't see it. You just see Invincible leave the apartment, the house, bloody. And he supposedly killed him, and that's sort of where you pick up. And Invincible is basically going back to Cecil Stedman saying, I've made too many mistakes. I should have never freed Dinosaur after capturing him. I should have never freed him. I shouldn't have befriended him. And those type of things. There's a lot of layers to Invincible. This is never a black and white comic books book. Every one of them has there's so many heavy things. And Spider-Man started doing those types of things, but I almost feel like Spider-Man and Batman and all of them started taking their cues from what Kirkman was doing here in Invincible, because this is just some very deep levels to superhero, and I really do like this story, and I'm so excited to finish the next 44 issues and do the next video for you. But so thank you guys for watching. This is comicbookinvest.com. Guys, if you like these videos, please watch these videos. Please subscribe to the channel so you can see them when they come out. This is Invincible. This is the 53 through issue 100. I do plan on doing at least one more, if not 2 more. I haven't read the story to see how many other first appearances are going to happen. Also, in issue 100, I didn't tell you that before. They are pregnant again, is what the issue sort of ends with. So, big, huge news, big, huge things are happening. You get to find out different pieces, and I'm very interested to see where this goes from here. But this is comicbookinvest.com. This is Invincible. Check out my channel, like, subscribe.